The Seattle Seahawks, with the 196th selection in your NFL draft here, are going to take DJ James, 6'1", 175-pound corner, 31-inch long arms, ran a 4.4 240, a 1.5 10-yard split. So a lot like Nehemiah Pritchett, you have in this cornerback a guy that is very fleet of foot. He can get every which way but loose on the football field from point A to point B in a hurry. He is a pure outside, off coverage zone corner. So if you want to look at something that's a little bit of a read in here of a little intricacy here between these two picks with Nehemiah Pritchett and this guy, the two things that stand out is that these guys played a lot of off coverage, dropping into zone depth post-snap. So for those of you that were thinking that maybe Mike Donald was going to make more of a transition from the zone-based heavy nature he was running with the Ravens last year to more man-based principles here coming to Seattle, that does not seem to be an indicative with these two cornerback picks. DJ rarely deviated from his bail drop technique snap after snap. He will stay on top, and his speed and bouncy athleticism makes him hard to get over on 9 routes. You're not going to stack this guy in a 9 route. You're not going to get over the top of him. He's too fast. And if he's playing in off coverage, it's too hard. Dig routes, comebacks were kind of there for the taking. So a bit of a difference between Nehemiah Pritchett is that both these guys play off coverage. Both of these guys drop to zone depth post snap at a high rate. But with Pritchett, he was still able to come up and take those shorter routes away. Those shorter routes that attempt to attack the cover 3 coverage in that manner. I know you're dropping to depth. I know you're covering to depth. I'm going to hit you underneath. And it's a pickle for cornerbacks sometimes. As I've said, our Seattle Seahawks cornerbacks have had to deal with a lot of this over the years where we do a lot of that same kind of bail dropping. And at times it makes it hard for them to be able to drive up on the underneath routes and really get to them. So it's a little bit of the difference between Pritchett and James here, where he just wasn't able to come up as much and take those routes away while also staying clean over the top. Tackling is just okay in this department. I would say that the effort is close to atrocious at times. Just is what it is. He doesn't seem to be very interested in stopping the run. Also, a high number of missed tackles. Sometimes avoids contact. Sometimes getting easily blocked out of the play, even when he's trying to fight to get the block off. 32 receptions allowed on 52 targets last year for 385 yards. So quite a stark difference from what we had from Pritchett on some of those stats that were borne out. At 175 pounds, I do think there are times where he can be bullied throughout the course of the route. He can be bullied at the catch point, because he's just a little bit too light. And his short arms at 31-inch long arms don't help. This could be a guy that they look to transition inside as a slot guy with his size and build and with, his ability 1.5 10-yard split being so twitchy in, at that level. But I also didn't exactly think he was as fast as his tested time. A good route run can beat him. You run a great route, you're going to get separation on him. It is tough for this guy, though. With so many snaps, he's dropping to depth and he's just staying on top. This is the issue, is we got 2 Auburn corners, and maybe there's something to this, right? I said this about Pritchett, and this is to be worth saying with James, and maybe the Hawks are aware of this, that the Auburn defense had these guys just dropping so far back to depth, and the Seahawks were going, they're not just dropping to like cover 3, like they're dropping like 40 yards into depth here. You're really making this hard on your cornerbacks to play up to their level of what they're capable of playing to. So maybe something in that, what they're seeing in that here with this pick and this player, and that these guys have much more upside because they were restricted by the nature of the scheme that they were in there at Auburn. I did not see any corners in the league. I've seen a lot of cover 3 bail droppers throughout college football this year who dropped to a lot of depth, but I don't know if I saw a team in Auburn that had their outside corners dropping to as much depth. I know those SEC receivers are scary, but God, you're leaving the front door open for everything else at that point when you have them drop that far, that deep. As far as my big board goes with DJ James and where I had him slotted in at, I liked him okay. So I had a 5th round grade on DJ James. Both him and Pritchett, I had that 5th round grade on. So the value here is very good. It's not a reach. This isn't you grabbing for an UDFA guy that wouldn't even have been picked. The value is solid.